Without further ado, it's a great thrill. I'd like to bring to the stage Krister Henriksson and Charlotte Jonsson, if you'd like to. First question I'd like to start with, as we have Kurt and Linda here, is obviously everybody in this room will know that the first actress who played Joanna Sellstrom passed away in very tragic circumstances, which obviously we won't dwell on. But for you, Krister, it was obviously very traumatic at the time, and I wondered how you felt once you knew the new series was happening. Did you feel an appropriate amount of time had passed, and what your approach to it was, and how involved you were in the casting?
When it happened with the Johanna, we all decided that we didn't want to make any more episodes of Wallander, because no, we wouldn't do that. And I was very sad for a long time. I felt very guilty about it. You know, it's bizarre, but I did. But I wasn't guilty to it. Then finally, years went on, and they called me and asked, can we try another time? And I said, oh, well, we have to find a Linda, because that part is very important in the Wallander. So they asked me, do I have a suggestion? And I said, no, I don't have any suggestion. I don't think there is any more Linda than Johanna. And then they asked for audition. And that was the first time I met Charlotte. And immediately after that audition, when we tried to shoot with her, I said to the producer, am I speaking to you? Hear me? Yeah. I said to the producer and to the director, we have found her. I will do more episodes. And that was Charlotte. Yeah.
Praise
I'm so glad for that.
Praise indeed.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that. That's lovely to be told that. So what was it like for you? Because obviously it was difficult for Krister because of the reasons he explained, but also for you, you know, actors often do parts that other actors have done, but obviously you know what had happened. What was the casting process like for you? I mean, did you have an audition, then did you... What was the actual process like for you, the casting?
Yeah, if I should start with talking about Joanna, this tragedy, terrible tragedy. It wasn't easy for me to go to the first audition, or even when they called me and said, do you want to come and audition for the part of Linda Wallander? Because I knew I have the greatest respect for her as a person and as an actress, but I didn't know her in person. So I thought once and twice, but I said, of course I'll come. And for me, it was strange in the beginning, but as soon as we started to work, and it just felt very natural, and I always felt very natural with you, and no one questioned it on set or anything. So it will be a little strange, maybe for the audience as well, but I hope you'll get used to it.
But they get used to it, you know. It's a terrible thing with our profession, because every part you do, somebody has done it before,
yes.
And often very better. But well, if you have this profession, you have to do it. You have to do it, and just think of the audience gets used to me sooner.
I just have to say that the producers made very clear also that the part of Linda was different from when she did it. That they wanted to change the character and to develop the character, because time has passed and she has a family of her own now, and so they wanted her to Yeah, they wanted to alter, to change the character, and because I could never have done what Joanna did.
No, of
never,
course
because
not,
I'm
no.
such different.
So it was a deliberate choice to have you,
Yeah.
and you were party to that. You were in
Right.
discussions and
Right.
talked to the director.
So I of course did the things that I do as an actor from my experiences and my emotions and my. I could never do anything like her or try to do anything that she does. So I'm trying as much as I can to do my own thing. And, yeah.
Which will be wonderful because I've already seen you in the first film. How did you? Because each act is very different, and this is a question for both of you. But I'll start. How did you prepare for it? Are you one of these actors who researches? Because some actors will pick up a script, they'll look at the part and go, "Okay, that's what I'm going to do." Did you actually do any research with police and for the part of
Me?
it? Yeah.
Yes, I was very. I was nervous because I wanted to show the work as you do as a. I wanted to show respect to the police. What do you say? How you work as a police? Because it's such a. Well, it's such a. Oh, I can't say it in English, but I mean. Anyway, I did a lot of interviewing with policemen.
Okay.
I also got some training with guns.
Oh, you
Got
actually
some
did gun training?
Yeah, I was terrified the whole time, but I did it. And then I was kickboxing for like 6 months before we started to shoot. Just
Really?
yeah, just to get a.
So, Krister, did you kickbox when you were?
No, I don't kickbox, and I will answer your question. I didn't have to do any research for a policeman because if you knew my life, I have met so many policemen, so
Yeah,
I knew everything about it. So I did not have to do that research.
Yeah, I can believe that. It's been well documented that you turned down Wallander quite a few times, citing personal professional reasons, and that when you met with Henning and you had a chat and you read the books because you hadn't read them, you said, "This is me. Why haven't I done it before?" What specifically? What was it about the character you thought? This is me, I can completely relate to this character.
No, the story isn't right, Victoria.
I'll
have to correct you.
Okay.
They asked me to play Wallander, and I said no. And I said no because I haven't read the books, and I'm basically a stage actor. And I didn't want to live in Ystad because having been in Ystad, it's a nice city during summer, but during winter it's terrible. It's terrible. And I didn't want to live there because, I had my family in Stockholm, so I said no. And then they called me again and asked me again, and I said no. And suddenly I noticed that every time they called, the salary increased. And so I continued saying no. And I didn't know Henning at the time, but finally he called me and said, "Can we have a walk, Krister?" Yes, and we had a walk at Djurgården in Stockholm. And then I said, "Well, I will think about it." And once a week I go to a therapist. It's the story of my life. And then finally asked me, "Why don't you do Wallander?" Because I said, "I don't think that is a good part for me." And then my therapist said, "Well, Wallander is you, Krister. You don't even have to act. You just do it." And then I went home and read the books, and I thought, yes, it's me. This will be a very lazy job for me, and I'm rather lazy. So I thought, yes, I had to do it. So in a way, that was, yeah. What is that?
The next screen.
Huh?
Next door.
Oh, it's next door.
Okay.
The Danish.
So, it sounds very strange. It just sounds like there's a mad person in the back of the room.
Yeah.
So, So you said it was you, and as we know, there were a couple of other actors. Kenneth, what was his?
I don't know.
Kenneth Braun, Kenny Braun.
Braun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rolf.
Dane Kenneth Braun.
It was Dane Kenny Braun.
Dane, yeah.
Well known. Yes. No, I won't be disrespectful, but obviously we've got our favourite Wallander here. Yes. I'll pay you all later. I'm going to have to pay the money for that. So, what was particularly wonderful about your performance? I mean, all three were very different. Was how subtle you were and how you drew us in. Was it something that came to you when you looked at the script? Did you decide quite quickly how you were going to play him? So you said it was sort of similar to you, the character, but was it something that you decided upon very quickly how to play him? You know, because yours was a very subtle, quiet approach, whereas, say, Brannan's was much more dramatic.
I don't know how to answer that. I usually play it like that. I'm fond of playing subtle.
Yeah, it's just
yes. That's my way to do it.
And what was it for you, Joanna? Once you got the part, what was it like? Was it very daunting? Because Krister, you know, being his reputation back in Sweden, and also it was a very established television show. Was it quite daunting once you started filming? What was it like on the set?
I was very well prepared when I came down to start when we were going to start shooting the film. Like I said, I was kickboxing for 6 months. And
did you ever do it with Krister? Did you ever on the set there was a bit of kickboxing there?
No, but I just I wanted to be prepared because, well, basically I guess I was kind of scared being the new girl in this show that have been running for a long time. They've been working together. It was probably, I figured like there would be this gang of men over 50 having their world, and I would come in and they would all try to pet me on the head and being all condescending. But that's just me. So I was really like, okay, I'm gonna show you. If anyone says anything, I'm gonna. But it turned out they were all very nice, and it wasn't dangerous at all. So no, it was a lovely experience when we started. I was the only problem, you know, because I do that. I don't really become friends with the people at the start. It just takes me a while. But it was a good place for me. I was taken care of. I always felt like I had the support of everyone, of Krister and of the producers. I never felt that I had to prove myself as an actress or that I had the part. No, I thought it was a very good environment to be working, very creative and supportive, I think.
And did you, because often you can hear stories when you're working on a drama series that's quite serious, that you have fun between takes. And, you know, Judi Dench is a perfect example. If she's playing a particularly serious role, she'll be giggling in between takes. Was there much laughter on the set between takes?
No, we were dead serious all the time.
We never laughed.
No,
we never had a drink. No, we just went to the hotel and learned the lines, you know.
Your nose
we
is
just went home and
Very
did
serious.
ourselves with the
Because I understand that Krister and the actor who plays Martinsson were a bit of a double act. Is this true on the set?
They were a cabaret.
They were a cabaret. Could you elaborate on that? What they got up to on the set? What sort of mischief?
I was just giggling, just chatting away, and I'm trying to be a serious actor, saying, "Are we going to do the shoot?" Or they were just singing opera, scatting, jazz. I don't know. Anything. No, it was hilarious. We had so much fun.
Was it very... Because I understand that after the first series, you produced them as well as being in them. And I remember once coming to Stockholm to see Doktor Glas, and we had a quick glass of wine, then you were going off to Ystad to work on the scripts. How much did you contribute to the scripts?
I would say more and more. The first time I did it, I didn't do it at all, and that's why the first series wasn't that good.
It's a matter of opinion, Krister.
Yeah.
We all thought it was.
Then I was, I think, a bit of a nightmare for the producers. They didn't like me, and they still don't like me, and because I didn't enjoy the scripts. I thought they were too bad. And then when they called me for the second time to do it, and I said, then I have to be a creative producer for it. I have to take more responsibility, and we have to listen to me. Otherwise, I don't do it. And they heard what I said, and they say, yes, you can do that. And the third call, when they were asked me to do the 6 final ones, I didn't want to do the 6 final ones because I think this is enough. And then I called Henning Mankell and asked him, can we do something with the part so they can't ask me again about this? Because I love the money, but I think I have to do something else now.
So difficult.
And so Henning found out this idea about Wallander gets the Alzheimer. And even if you are a detective in Ystad, you can't have the Alzheimer. And so I got the Alzheimer. And if you haven't seen those episodes yet, but you know, the funny thing is with it, there's suddenly, this summer, it came in the Swedish papers about, you know, this Alzheimer, you know, it's so many people, old people have it. It's a real tragedy. So, which was standing in the papers that they had found out that if you brush your teeth, you can avoid Alzheimer. So the producer called me and asked, can't he brush his teeth very often? And I said, why? Because then he maybe can recover from the Alzheimer. Yes, true. It's true. But finally, no, I did it. So I never brush my teeth anymore. But that is, I mean, that's how it all ends. He doesn't die, because that was very important for Henning, that you can do whatever you want to do with the part, Krister, but Wallander can't become a fascist, what do you call it? Fascist, and not die. That's the only thing. So then we decided Alzheimer, and I think that Wallander is still living somewhere
in a bath chair
with Alzheimer, and Linda is taking good care of it.
Oh. On that note, did you really relish the challenge as an actor? Because there are, you know, quite a few themes running through the final series. You know, getting older, you know, connecting with your daughter, the fact she's got you're a grandfather, and also your illness. So as an actor, was it more challenging than the other series?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. It gave me something more to bite.
Get your teeth into.
Yeah.
But not brushing them first.
No, not brushing them.
No. And how does your relationship develop? Because what was particularly touching in the first series was, you know, seeing how difficult your relationship was with your daughter, and the fears you had for her because she was a police officer as well. How does it develop in this final series? Either one of you.
Yeah. It's hard for me to compare, but what we've been trying to tell is that not really try to explain what has been or what has happened. But now all of a sudden Linda is in Ystad and she's a police officer and work together. And she has a family of her own, so she's not as, she's more of a grown-up person and trying not to be depending on, on the relationship to her father and trying to have her own life, trying to have her own value. But of course, that's hard because it's difficult in real life with your parents and to be that independent person you want to be, because there's always things in your background and where you come from that you can never run away from. Even though you try to build your life, create your own life, there's always this, where did I come from? So I think that's what I wanted to examine. And,
And you, Krister?
Well, I think it's a very good described relationship between Wallander and Linda, because it's like in my private life between my daughters and me. They are quite what to say, string. Should be they're quite you know, they are
Feisty?
feisty to me, and everything I do is wrong in a way. And but when I have got a cold or when I'm sick, they are very tender to me. Yes, all the father. So, and that's what happens between Linda and his father, because you know she will be a policeman as well. And Wallander is trying to help her and trying to teach her. And you know what that is like when you're a parent. If you try to teach your children. Huh?
she doesn't need any.
She doesn't need any help.
Very competent.
And I think she needs help. And but she can't receive it, you know. She can't be grateful for that. And I think it's terrible. And but suddenly when he becomes thick too, and sick, and becomes sick, she is very tender to him, and she really taking care of him, and really, and you can see, I hope you can see, the love between them. Yeah.
One thing I was going to ask is that one of the reasons that Henning said he wrote the Wallander books was because he felt that Sweden was changing as a society, and that it was become a bit more xenophobic and racist, and he saw that as a crime. I mean, which is happening. Did you feel like the storylines? Sorry, don't mind us. I'm fine. Do you feel that it was an accurate reflection of what's going on in Swedish society? That some of the themes that run through Wallander, some of the storylines, do you think it presents accurately what's going on?
You ask so complicated
Sorry,
questions. My English isn't advanced enough
Shall I
to
start
answer that.
again?
In Sweden, I'm a very bright person.
Shall I ask you Swedish?
Yes, but just in Swedish.
In Swedish, we're really bright.
Do you think the storylines reflect what is happening?
Sometimes they do, when I'm the creative producer,
Oh,
but
yeah.
otherwise they don't do.
Are they not?
Is that an answer?
Is that an answer? Yes. So, but no. So do you think that there are the themes that yeah?
Can we?
Would you like to move on from that?
Yeah. Another question, please.
Another question. Okay. A lot of the time you see these wonderful shots of Wallander looking out to sea, being reflective, and I remember once you saying that this tiny village that you were born in, and that you understood that sense of longing.
Yeah. I did. Because that's why I became an actor, because I'm brought up, brought up in the same village in Sweden, but on the other side of the coast, with just near to the sea, and this sea, and next is Finland, And then, you know, during summer, all the tourists are coming and say, what a wonderful village. And then comes the winter, and there comes the fog, and there comes the cold, and there comes the loneliness, and it's a terrible place. And that's why I decided I must leave this, and became whatever. And whatever was actor. And so I really understood, because I think we're talking about how do you become a person? Is it the environment, or is it the genetics who is forming you? And I really think it's a nature, it's a scenery, it's where you live, how it looks like. That's why it forms you as a person. And that which has been forming me. And I remember those days standing in the fog, in the coldness, and just looking in the fog, and something else was on the other side, the horizon. And you were longing, and you didn't know what you were longing for. And I still don't know. I'm still longing. And I think that is a seed which has formed this thing for me, that I'm always longing.
So it's still something you
yeah,
feel?
It's still something.
Well, did you know exactly what you were longing for? When did
No.
you decide when did you actually decide you wanted to be an actor? What happened?
I began as a doctor. I studied medicine because I said I'm bright. And
Really?
I studied medicine, and then I decided to do the military service. But when I did my military service, I was an idealist, and I didn't want to wear weapons. And so I came to a kind of, you know, the guys around me, they wanted to be priests, opera singers, writers, you know, persons I never met before. And so I did this 1 year military service. And when I came back to the Karolinska, which is a big institute for studying medicine, I was looking around at my colleagues and I said, God, how boring they are. Will I stand alive with those persons? No, I won't. So then I went to Stockholm and met actors. And, you know, then I met the policemen, and things were going to happen. Another life came. And yes, and so I decided to become an actor.
Charlotte, I want to ask you the same question, but there may not be sea involved and longing. But can you remember when you decided to become an actress? What was the...
Yeah, no, I grew up in the very north part of Sweden, where it's just cold and snow and night and darkness all the time. And I have it in me, and I wanted to get away. So it's kind of the same. Also, very much a longing away from something else. Not that it was bad. It was nice to live there, but I just knew, and it was a small town. And my mother told me that from when I was very young, I always said that I have to get out of here. I have to get away. So yeah, there's definitely a longing for something else in it, trying to reach out or reach in to get out, or something that you have to figure out.
Do you think that's a Swedish sensibility, or do you think it's a personal duty? Do you think maybe that's something you could say is a cultural thing, maybe?
I don't know. It depends on if it's like Krister says, how nature or the environment kind of makes us. But then it's a general thing, you know. But I don't think it's cultural, really. Well, yeah, maybe you can say that. Maybe it's a cultural. But I mean, maybe in South America they have a different way of longing for something else. I don't know. I can't say. I think it's in every person, really.
And I understand you ended up in New York at drama school.
Yeah.
I wondered how that,
Yeah.
that came about, how you ended up going to New York.
How I, yeah, I don't know. I was only 19. I didn't know anything about life or about New York. Or I just came from my little northern village, and I heard there was a school in New York. I have to go. Yeah, so I stayed there for 2 years.
Did you know anybody? Was it like a big event you decided you wanted to go?
No, I went to an acting school in Stockholm,
Right.
and that's when I met a teacher who's from New York who had been to that school, and so we were a couple of from that class who went, but I didn't know anyone else. My parents never came visit. I was
Did
just
they?
all
Were you on
alone.
your own?
2 years. Yeah.
Oh, it's bad. It's bad.
No, it's great. It was fantastic. It was fantastic.
And Krister, going back to when you first became an actor, and if we can not talk, I will talk about the police incident another time. You, as the audience has now witnessed, you are naturally very funny, and I've known you for quite a while, and you are very funny. So, your career, you've often you've gone for serious.
Am I funny?
You don't know.
Am I funny? Am I a dummy?
You're not a dummy. You're just very fun. But you've chosen, from what I can gather, you haven't done much comedy. You've chosen serious roles. Was this a conscious decision as an actor to play serious parts as opposed to comedy?
I mean, this is the question, because when I went to school, they call it mobbing. Mobbing, what is that? What?
Bullying.
Yeah.
Thank
You
you.
know, in school I was thick. I was up-nosed. I had a very screamy voice, and people laughed at me. I think it was funny, and I didn't know why they laughed, because I was funny, and I'm still very sensitive when people laugh at me, because why do they laugh at me? So when I became an actor, I decided no one should laugh at me. So I went to the stage school, and I was playing Chekhov and Strindberg, and all my classmates say, Krister, you shouldn't put your time in this, because when you become an actor, you will be a comedian, not playing Shakespeare, not playing Chekhov. And I decided, when I got my first job in Stockholm at the National Theatre, I will show nobody that I got a sense of humor. I would just play those severe part, yeah. So, yeah, I began with this, but you know, I think it's more funny to do. You say severe parts, I don't know what that is. Serious parts, yeah. I like to do the serious parts, because I think there are more in it, but for me, it's a serious part can be fun as well, because if you just play a part seriously, there is no good part. So my job is to try to do a serious part funny. So last time when I was doing the Death of a Salesman, my only ambition was to do this, make it a funny part. Otherwise, the audience won't stand and look at me, seeing it. I like to have fun at the theater. Whenever I go, I like to laugh, even when it's tragedy. Yeah, even when it's tragedy. I want to, as Chekhov says, I want to laugh with the tears in my eyes.
Well, actually, I think there is, I don't know if any of you agree, but I think the way you played Wallander, because you weren't trying too hard, I think there was humour. Would you agree in some of the episodes of Wallander that I think there's some comedy elements there? So, absolutely true. Do you, as actors, do you prefer working on stage or screen? I mean, you've done a huge amount, Krister, obviously, in the theatre. Is there, do you prefer TV, theatre, or do you enjoy the differences between the two?
It's doubled. I really prefer being a stage actor, but on the other hand, I'm lazy. And if we come to stage actor, it's a very, very hard work. And you don't earn that lot of money. The only way of earning some money in Sweden is being a shooting actor. And I mean, it seems this going on stage is such a tough job. And it's even more tougher here in London than it is Sweden. I learned that when I was playing Doktor Glas at the Wyndham's here last year. I played 8 shows a week. On the National Theatre in Stockholm, I do mostly 3 shows a week. And then I'm complaining all the time. This is too much. So what happened when I came back from London, everybody says at the National Theatre, you seem to be so happy, Krister. What's it? And I don't tell them, still I don't tell them. I have been playing 32 shows in a month. Because if I told them, they will ask me to do that at the national tour. So it's, and I asked, because when I came here, I didn't know I should play 8 shows a week.
I did tell you, Krister, several times.
No, you didn't.
I did.
I didn't.
Well,
okay,
you,
okay.
yeah. That's when you. And what about you, Charlotte? Is there? Do you prefer screen or?
Yeah, no, I very much enjoy both, or I mean, any kind of acting. But I think it's really interesting with filming right now. It's like it's almost like an. What do you say? It's. Well, I really enjoy the nuances and discovering and trying to be as free as possible. And how do you do that? I mean, for me as a person, to just not try to do something, or just try to find the things within me, and then just try and be so relaxed and free as possible, and have as much fun with it as possible. So as long as like a scientific project, that's what I was going to say.
Yes,
that's how I see it.
That's
yeah.
what the hard thing about it, because if you are bad on stage, the rehearsals is going and the opening is bad, and you know you're bad, and you have to go there the day after and do it again, and know that I'm bad, and the audience is sitting there, and you just feel like, can't you leave this place? You know I'm bad. Don't you think I'm bad? So why are you sitting here? So that is what is worse with acting on stage. If you're bad on the screen, you can say, just go home and switch off the television, which I do, or change channel. So it's, that is the worst thing about theater. And it's very hard to be good on stage. It's a very tough job to be good on stage. And yeah, and that's why when it works, it's fantastic. But often it doesn't work. Yeah.
And your experience in London, am I right in thinking you are the first and only Scandinavian actor to perform in the West End? Is this true?
Yes.
Yes.
Really?
And I must say that was fantastic. I didn't think that would happen to me, because if there's anything, I have been a lot in London, even when I was younger, because I think that your British actors are the best in the world, and I see them all. John Kilgood, Laurence Olivier. I think I maybe know that. Maybe that was on YouTube. I don't know. I mix it. You know, you never know anymore. Have you seen it on YouTube, or have I seen it? But I've seen them all. I've seen them all. So that was quite a very big thing for me, because sometimes when I went to the Wyndhams, I said to myself, Krister, when you were young, if somebody has told you, do you know that one day you will stand at the West End with a monologue in Swedish? No, I shouldn't. Yeah, that was hilarious. That was a dog's bollocks.
It's for such a serious Swedish actor, I'm teaching him vernacular and slang, and one of the things I taught him yesterday was the dog's bollocks, but I didn't think we were going to say that today, so it's on film now. Krister Henriksson has said that, and there's a few other words I've taught him which maybe he shouldn't say now. Other than, I just wondered how Wallander, the impact it had. I mean, we never would have met if it hadn't been for Wallander, because I wouldn't have written to you the whole Doktor Glas thing. Are you getting more offers of work from abroad because it's doing so well internationally? Are you getting offers to do films?
Yes, yeah. And I always almost say no, because you know there is a thing with me in speaking English. I know that I can make myself understandable, but I don't recognize myself when I speak another language. I know I can't, and it's a tragedy in a way, because I think English is such a beautiful language, such a beautiful language. And you know, when I have been rehearsing Shakespeare plays, last time I was doing The Winter's Tale by Ingmar Bergman, I go to my sleeping room and read the lines in English and imagine that I'm John Gielgud and somebody who speaks like that, you know, and speaking, God, how good I am. And then I try to translate in Swedish, it's blah, blah. And I mean, your language is, I mean, I just adore to speak it, but I know one thing, I can't act in your language because I don't recognize myself. And when I speak Swedish, I have another voice, much deeper. It goes up when I speak English. It isn't in my body. It isn't in my body.
But if you're playing a character who's from another country, it wouldn't matter though with the accent though.
Yes, and I know, then I will play a Nazi from Germany. Well, you know.
Stop Nazi,
no.
yeah.
I can say no to that part.
But it's very intimate, connected to your personality, the language.
Yeah.
And
the Nazis?
This is a conversation we'll have later. It's probably best not to. Are you surprised, are both of you surprised? I mean, I know often the Nordic actors are asked this, but are you surprised at the international success of Wallander? Do you think it's something to do with the fact that the leading character is flawed and the issues he have? You know, the fact it's been doing very well in America now, across Europe. Can you see why?
Oh yes. I mean, you must know one thing, because I'm brought up, all the population of Sweden, we are brought up with Swedish television. No, English television. We have seen all those crime series from the BBC, Prime Suspect or whatever they are called, and all the crime books, you know, from Dorothy Sayers, Agatha Christie, and you know,
Midsummer Murders?
It's kind of...
Midsummer Murders?
Midsummer Murders, well, yes. And you know, something, so what happened when we were doing this series, Wallander, suddenly they told me in Ystad, you know that they will come from BBC and doing the Wallander? And seriously, I said, we're packing go home. We can't, because I thought from the beginning when we were doing the Wallander, I thought, imagine if we could do this like the British should do it. And after years, the British come and says, imagine if we could do it like you do it in Sweden. That's a revolution.
But this is absolutely true. What's astonishing now is it's had such an impact on our drama, because I'm sure when we watch homegrown productions now, you go, oh, they're copying what they did in The Bridge. Oh, they're doing that. So it has had a huge impact, the Scandinavian dramas. So we haven't got much time. So to finish off, what have you got, apart from going to India shortly and doing some yoga? You're going on holiday, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah? You got into trouble in Sweden, but you know, we don't have to go there.
No, we don't have to go
there,
there.
but yeah. So, work-wise, what's...
Well, you can say, because, you know, speaking with the journalist, there was a journalist calling me and said, because I was in a TV program in Sweden, and she was a young girl, I just spoke to her in the telephone, and then she asked me, I heard that you're going to India. And yes, I said, what will you do in India? And she was young, so I said, you know what you don't you know what you're doing in India? Yes, it is. We're smoking grass and having windsurfing. Yes, that's right. And on the front page in the big paper, I'm going to India and smoking grass and then go windsurfing. And people come. Henning himself called me. Oh, what are you saying in the people? When you're Wallander, you can't say, you can't recommend people to go on drugs.
It's true.
It's true. It's true. Well, seriously, I go to India and live at a yoga shala and eating vegetables, not smoking grass and not windsurfing.
And Charlotte, how can you follow
Yeah,
that?
I'm going to.
I know, yeah.
I'm windsurfing and smoking grass.
So what's next for you, Charlotte?
I don't know how to top
No,
this.
I know. How do you talk?
I'm just not going to try.
But work-wise, what have you got?
Wait, no, I'm I'm working. I'm doing some theater and I'm doing some filming and yeah, being a super mother to my kids.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we've been told we have to wrap up now. So I hope you've enjoyed this chat with Krister and Charlotte. And if you'd like to give them a huge round of applause.